victims,
survivors.
We're warriors.
And so they will tell you their story. A fair warning, at least Veronica was better last time. She sometimes will say bad words.
That's fine.
So just a fair warning, sometimes they come out and.
But it's an accident.
It's an accident, but, yeah, so just be prepared for that. We don't need to make a big deal about it. It happens.
Is it like it's
Make
her
everybody do the 20-foot pushes like you make me do them. Not them, like that her.
But she didn't say that word.
Not
I
her.
said $5.
Just in case, you never
Just in
know.
case.
Just in case, if I need to.
I hear her all the time.
Okay, just do your stuff over there and be quiet.
I will.
All right, they'll talk, they'll communicate with each other to see
We bounce back
if
and
they
forth.
remembered something or forgot something. So just bear with them, they'll be open for questions and all kinds of stuff. If I hear somebody talking or see you, you'll go straight to the dean.
Well,
Tell yours.
thank you.
All right.
Okay,
I'm Veronica Corbelli.
I'm Dawn Corbelli. I'm her mom. We were both in a really bad car accident together. Here's a picture of our car.
So, is that right?
February 13th, 2008. Veronica's gonna start by telling you what happened to her.
So I was driving and I had my permit, but don't think, I was not looking at my phone or anything, like I was a really good driver. I just have to add that, cause, you know.
Did you say?
I was 15, and I shared my brainstem, I bruised my frontal lobe, broke both hips in my pelvis,
Both hips.
8 fractures in my pelvis, a broken left ankle, and a paralyzed left side. I had to relearn everything from infancy all again. I'm used to
Talking really fast.
I'm sorry. And so
She had to learn how to walk, talk, eat, write,
I was in a coma
and
for,
roll over like a baby again. So,
was in a coma for 2 or 3 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
And on life support.
Yeah.
And-
And I had the scars like my trach, and they had to do exploratory surgery, so out my sternum, and I have a feeding tube, and
Okay, so how many people in here are 15? All right. We were just driving to a store on a regular day, to Walmart, and, on our way, we got in an accident less than 2 miles from our house. So was anybody learning how to drive in here? You guys gotta be really careful.
yes.
Do not look at your phones,
was-
do not,
Well, and I don't wanna okay, so it was a freak accident.
yes.
I was pulling out from a stop sign. Neither of us saw the truck, like, it happens, you know? So-
And this is Veronica on life support.
Can you turn off the light, please? Thanks.
This is the last time I thought I was gonna see her alive, that's why I took the picture. We were told that she would remain in a vegetative state, and she's a miracle.
I walked out of the hospital on my 16th birthday, so.
We didn't ask this yet, but do any of you know what a traumatic brain injury is? If you have any questions, raise your hand.
We'll teach you.
Do you know anybody that has a traumatic brain injury? Oh, that's very unfortunate. Do they act differently?
Yes.
Yeah, they do. Can you tell me how?
Yeah, it's like my uncle's brother. He got ran over.
Mm-hmm.
He was tall, now he's short. But he acts way different. He's very smart, and he just doesn't talk at all. Drools a lot too.
Yeah, that's so unfortunate. Anybody else want to share? Yes.
I don't know if this really counts, but my dad has post-traumatic concussion disorder.
Syndrome.
Or
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
And yeah, he just forgets stuff in the middle of talking and just the usual stuff like that.
I do that. So if I stop and I can't think of my words, that's what happens to me.
And we have notes.
You get it.
Everywhere. So.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna, go ahead.
Outline, we're gonna tell you a TBI definition, severity of brain injury, the statistics, and common problems.
All right.
a TBI definition is a traumatic brain injury. It's an acquired to the brain, what?
Acquired injury to the
Oh, acquired injury to the brain caused by an external physical force resulting in total or partial functional disability or psychological and social impairment or both, adversely affects a person's educational performance. Like they did not expect, I was in my second semester of sophomore year and I missed that whole semester. I was in the hospital and somehow I graduated with my original class of 2010. Thanks.
I don't know if we told you, I have a moderate traumatic brain injury and Veronica has a severe one.
Okay, next.
A brain injury is an injury to the brain caused by a blow to the head, penetration of the skull caused by an accident. The injury may disrupt functioning in a single area of the brain or impact multiple areas of the brain. Adverse effects can be short-term or lifelong. Our effects are lifelong. Because of the accident, Veronica,
I will always be like a 15-year-old in some ways because that was the age of that injury. So, oh yeah. I can't drive, I can't work. I live with my parents. I've tried driving 2 or 3 times, but I mix up the brake and the gas, and that's not the safest. I don't, for a while, like, when I turned 21, I partied a lot, because when I got drunk, I would forget I was different. I was like, everybody's like me, so I drank a lot. I don't drink anymore. I have like 1 drink Friday nights, and I'm good.
Veronica has poor decision-making skills and she was taken advantage of by 2 men.
2
Because-
separate times.
Yeah, separate times because of, she's very impulsive and flirty,
And
and
then
she
when,
would touch men, and they didn't know
and
their
then when I
boundaries.
said no, they didn't stop. So,
Their traumatic and non-traumatic brain injuries are both acquired brain injuries. You can get them, we already said, blow to the head, an accident, illness or disease, a mosquito bite from an infected mosquito, mouth infection or sinus infection. That surprised me greatly. Did any of you know that? Something so simple can,
like if your
Go to your
fever
brain.
goes high or whatever, like you can get brain damage.
alcohol and drug use, oxygen deprivation, and a tick that causes Lyme disease. And also, I just recently talked to somebody who has a brain injury from going in a pond. He got some kind of bug.
It's
From
a
the pond.
brain eating like amoeba.
Yes,
Gross.
yes, I guess you've heard of it too. He's shocked me.
How do they kill those?
I don't know. I will.
Why do you know so much about this?
I'm on brain injury support groups, lots of them. So I talk to a lot of other people with brain injuries
Were you asking
every
us?
day.
No.
Oh.
I was just wondering, but
Oh, you weren't asking? Oh, I'm sorry.
no, you're fine. No, it's still good to know.
On the statistics, every 23 seconds, 1 person in the US sustains an acquired brain injury. 1 in 500 students sustain an acquired brain injury each year in the US. 1 in 25 students will sustain an acquired brain injury before high school graduation. How many of you are there?
In this class.
Yeah, 1 year.
Well, I mean,
But how many kids are in
yeah.
this class?
Oh, like 16. Oh, no, I mean,
How many
One,
kids?
two,
More than
26.
Yeah, it's
About
Okay.
26. What's really unfortunate is it is possible that one of you will sustain some kind of brain injury before graduation.
Overall, twice as many boys as girls, and you're at the highest risk, 0 to 4 years old and 15 to 19. I was 15.
Okay, sharing and tearing of neurons. When an injury occurs, the neurons stretch, twist, or tear. The reason, you are completely different after you get a brain injury. Because of the twisting, tearing, your brain can heal from that.
But your neurons never connect where they were.
Yeah, you
So,
never go
like,
back to.
I will always be a little quirky or different, you know, like, there will always be something different about me.
Yes, we're
I'm
gonna
just
talk about that in
special.
a little. Veronica's extremely impulsive. You know how people think things in their mind and they know they shouldn't say them? For
I just
Veronica,
did.
she says them. She doesn't have a chance to tell herself, no, that's not appropriate, and she just says them.
Mild, moderate, or severe. Injuries can range from mild to severe. Like mom has a mild and I have severe.
Moderate.
Oh, you have a moderate. Significant long-term disability and full effects of brain injury may not be apparent until later when the person is expected to perform more advanced skills and to regulate their behavior.
Sometimes, has anybody in here had a concussion? Oh my gosh.
Mine was from a car accident, actually.
I don't know.
I get one every week.
That's not funny.
It's not, I know.
How do you get one every?
Oh, I boxed my twin in the spot.
I'm sorry?
He
I boxed my
boxes.
twin.
Oh my goodness. So,
I-
oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, so, I don't know.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
Okay, yeah, we'll go to the next
Oh,
one.
what I was gonna say is sometimes you might go to the doctor after a concussion and they might say you're fine, and within a few days or weeks or even months, you might start having symptoms like headaches or dizziness or forgetting things, and you might not realize that it's from being hit in the head long ago. And if that ever happens to you, you gotta go to the hospital right away.
See, like, we don't need this, cause we
Yes,
just.
we do, so Anna, I want you to read it out.
Okay. A mild is brief or no loss of consciousness, signs of concussion, nausea and vomiting, headache, fatigue, dizziness, and poor recent memory, unable to form new memories following the injury. Like, okay, so when I woke up from the coma, I still don't know, like, I still don't remember about 6 months before the accident and 3 months after. My long-term memory is great, but my short-term memory sucks, and it will probably always be that way.
Because we both have horrible memories, the way we deal with not being able to remember things is we keep notes all over our house. We have them on the microwave and on the counter and in the bathroom, everywhere when we need to remember something, because our short-term memories are so bad. This is how bad. My husband and I might get in an argument, and a few minutes later, he's acting angry, and I'll ask him, why are you so angry? And he'll tell me why, and I have forgotten already. So,
Like, one time Mom and I were,
arguing,
yeah, I was gonna say fighting, but arguing, and I got really upset, so I went downstairs to my bedroom, and I like walked around for a minute, and then it was gone, and I came back upstairs, and Mom was like apologizing. I was like, for what? We're okay. So, I mean, and then we just laugh about it, like it happens all the time.
And sometimes we'll be talking about facts. This person did this. No, they did that. It's really weird to have two brain injured people fighting about who's right.
Like
Because you forget everything. We just have to let it go.
or like the time, like I don't know time, like this happened the other day. I was like, Mom, you just ran through a yellow light yesterday, or what, you know, like, and she goes, Veronica, that was just like 5 minutes ago.
Veronica can't tell the difference between today, yesterday, a week ago, or a month ago.
So,
It's very interesting.
um,
Moderate. I have a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was not in a coma. I don't know how long I was unconscious for, but it was long enough for us to know that I had a pretty bad brain injury. Oh, I didn't tell you. I had 9 staples in my head and 6 breaks in my pelvis. That's what happened to me. And when they would bring me breakfast in the morning in the hospital, I was there for 3 weeks, and Veronica was there for a little over 12. I didn't know I had eaten breakfast. If my husband would come in and say, "What did you have?" I couldn't tell him because I didn't even know I ate. I didn't remember.
and they
anything.
told me I wasn't allowed to get out of the hospital until I could remember, so I started ordering the same meal every day.
Which is pretty darn smart.
Cause it's like, I can't remember like this morning, but I can remember yesterday morning, so it was,
And when Veronica was in the hospital, she couldn't talk for over 2 months. And we did give her her phone back at one point, and she made 247 texts in a day. Even her, and she couldn't
that's probably
see.
like nothing to you guys, but like,
She couldn't see. Like,
Yeah.
she saw double, she would hold it all the way out to the side, and that little thumb would go and go and go. Cause she wanted to communicate, but she couldn't. She said when she couldn't talk, it was so frustrating because.
like I knew what I wanted to say, but nothing would come out.
Yep.
But
I will.
severe, like I was in a coma for 2 weeks and unable to form new memories following the injury.
Long time. There we go,
That was
Veronica.
the first time I fed myself.
She was seeing double, so they put these glasses on her and taped one part, and she ate super fast. She had been on a feeding tube for a long time.
And I had impulse control.
We
Still
thought,
do.
we thought she loved her food so much, she was just shoveling it in, and it wasn't. It was because she had no impulse control. Her impulse was to feed herself, but she couldn't stop. So, yep.
That's me walking in the hospital.
Relearning her motor
Yeah.
skills.
The vast majority of students with brain injuries returning to school have mild injuries. Like me, returning with my severe is very not heard of. It's like
Very
one.
unusual.
I'm not gonna give you statistics because I don't know them, but yeah. Like I was not supposed to graduate or anything, and I did with my original class. Like,
Which was interesting because Veronica only got to go to school for half days her junior year, and she went whole days her senior year, and we slept about 18 hours a day as soon as she got home from school. If she wasn't in therapy, she went to occupational, physical, and speech therapy. And one day when she was in the hospital, somebody came to our room and said, "Why does Veronica sleep all the time? All she does is lay around." But she was getting actually 3 hours of
therapy in
therapy
the morning and 3 hours in the afternoon.
Right.
So,
She did occupational
Yes,
speech
Mom,
and,
you already
wait a
did.
minute. She did both in the morning, all 3 of them in the morning and all 3 of them in the afternoon. And her, she had teachers that came to the hospital, and her principal called and got an update almost every day. And they really wanted to help Veronica graduate. She had special classes, and instead of, do you guys have study hall? Yeah, she had, what
I
was
was
yours
in
called?
something
Was it
different. It
Spanish
was a learning lab. So,
Where they helped her do her
Yes.
work, and she never got homework or anything.
yeah,
What was that?
Yeah. Study strats, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Common problems is difficulty with memory, attention, concentration, and fatigue. May have problems with motor, sensory,
I'm gonna
perceptual.
stop you with motor, I'm sorry. When, Veronica wasn't back in school, have you heard of an IEP?
I have.
Okay, well, Veronica needed to have one too, and we went there and she was still on her walker. And we were there when the bell rang and she was just motoring along really slow in front of the stairs. And the kids were trying to come down and they didn't know why there was a stall in being able to come down the stairs. And they were cussing and getting really mad. So if anything like that ever happens, try to be patient because you don't know who's there or what's going on.
Cognitive, communication, social, emotional, behavioral functioning.
And also, when Veronica went back to school, she had a teacher that she wanted to have the same math teacher as she used to have because he was really nice to her. But when she went back to class,
And I couldn't do something that he like just showed us how to do, and he was like, why can't you do this? You used to be able to.
and all the teachers were there at the IEP meeting, and they were explained what Veronica's condition was, but what was really hard is we didn't really know how to explain everything at that time because she was still very newly injured. And so the teachers, they had never been educated in it either, so it was hard. Veronica actually came home that day and asked if her kids were gonna be retarded like her, cause she thought she was. She didn't understand that it was an injury.
But now I can't have kids. I had surgery last October, November, because I'm very unsafe and impulsive. And so I don't wanna be like okay with the baby and then all of a sudden turn red and be like, throw it, you
We
know?
go from white to red
And then
really
be like, what happened?
I'm gonna explain white.
Yeah.
We, like, white is calm, and people say, oh, I was, what did they say, I was red, I was red with anger. What do they say?
I don't know.
I don't know, but anyway, we call it going from white to red, and it happens within a couple seconds, and then we're so angry, like her face turns red, our bodies start shaking, and we'll yell, and Veronica's afraid that she might be impatient with the baby and then do something to hurt it and not know why the baby is hurt afterwards, like she might forget. And then also, one side effect to her brain injury that's very common is hypersexuality, where she talks about sex a lot, she has sex a lot, she's not really,
I'm careless.
thank you.
Yeah. And that's
It's hard for her to say no. She is a
That's-
people pleaser and to too much of an extent since her brain injury.
and that's why I got permanent sterilization.
Mhm.
And so
And also, one other side effect is Veronica's hypothalamus is damaged. It's right above your brainstem, and hers was injured. And she gained 90 pounds after the accident. She gained 4.5 pounds a week until she had gained 70 pounds within just a few months. And then, like, throughout the last 15 years, she's gained a little more. And now she's lost 30. She works out a lot at the gym and is trying to lose the weight. But, so her physical appearance also changed after the injury, not just the way she thinks. Can I turn my page?
go to the next slide.
I will.
Common problems is certain types of difficulties are common in students with TBI. Problems can be physical, cognitive, sensory, motor, social, emotional, and behavioral.
As far as,
I feel like this is repetitive.
some of our slides might be a little bit repetitive. We're trying to go through them and read them out.
So put a
But-
star on this one.
Okay, we're gonna talk about all the things that were named. So,
Like I wear glasses now. I didn't before the accident because I have really bad vision now. And So,
And it's not from her eyes themselves.
so I
It's
can't just
from
get
her
like
brain,
eye surgery. It's from my brain.
how her brain controls her eyes.
Tracking, like I used to trip up and down the stairs all the time, and I have so many bruises from bumping into things.
Spatial relationships, she doesn't know if something's close or far, and that's
so
another
I
reason why
usually
she
stand a little close to people.
Okay, that's another thing she does. We'll be in a grocery store. She doesn't have any, you know how you have a bubble?
Yeah.
Everybody has their bubble and don't cross it. Veronica has no bubble. And she'll go up really close to people in the grocery store if they smell good. Her sense of smell is very, very strong now. And she'll walk right up to them.
I'll be like, you
Like
smell
this,
amazing.
and she'll go.
Yeah. Wow, you smell great.
She does that
And they'll be like,
all the time.
okay.
And it sounds funny, but it happens. And that's another impulsive thing she does. She can't really think about it and say, nope, don't do that. She just does it.
Neglect.
Oh, neglect is,
Like, you don't see half of the visual field. So, like, you can have a plate and you'll only eat half of the plate and be like, I'm still hungry, because your brain doesn't process that there's two sides. And so somebody will like come up and spin it and they're, and then you can eat the other half. So,
they'll draw
yeah.
half a flower, half a person,
Mm-hmm.
half a sky, half of anything that they want to draw. They only draw half.
Auditory deficits, like, what?
Loud
Oh,
noises
yeah.
freak me
Yeah.
out. They actually give me anxiety
Like when a motorcycle passes us or something, and she'll have the window down and she'll
My
like
hands-
clench onto the steering wheel and.
Yeah, it's really, really scary for me. And also, people also hear things that aren't really there,
Like,
and they have,
you're not schizophrenic, but you
hear voices,
Yeah,
you have
you hear
hallucinations. But, I don't know if do you know anybody that has bipolar disorder? Yeah, a lot of you are familiar. I had it before my injury, and it can get worse after a brain injury, and mine was, I didn't used to have hallucinations, but about 10 years ago when I was super, super sick, I ended up having hallucinations. And Veronica,
I got a mood disorder, with a lot of bipolar tendencies, and so I'm on mood stabilizers, and like I have a pill regimen a day, like it.
we have mood lability where we can go up and down like a roller coaster with our moods. It's very unpredictable. And it's hard for us and for whoever's around us, but our medicine does help. And I'm also on a medication, when you turn white to red really fast. It took a couple months to kick in, but I am on a medication for it, and it helps me take a deep breath and think before I react. But I've done crazy things
And
before.
Tactile deficits.
I'm
That's
not
like,
done.
oh,
So I did something crazy before, and I'm so glad it was only once. I was in a Safeway, and I'm very confused easily about things, and I get lost in my car and not know where I am when I look around. Well, one day I was in a Safeway, and I was waiting. I needed to pick up medicine, and I looked. One side there was a line. I asked this lady if she was in line, and I stood behind her. But I looked up, and it said consultation. It didn't say medicine pickup. But I looked around the corner, and it did say pickup. I hadn't been there in years to get my medicine, so I didn't really know how it worked. So I got out of line and I went into the pickup line, and when the lady said for us to come forward, she went forward and I went forward, and she said I was trying to cut her in line, and I wasn't, and I said I didn't understand, but she started yelling at me saying, "Don't tell me you don't understand," and I got very, very close to her, and I'm so glad I didn't touch her because I would have went to jail. And I yelled, "You bitch!" And I walked out of the store, and I went to my car and cried because I don't like that behavior, and it's not really me. but it was my brain injury. And, yeah, I cried and cried about that. I don't mean to be that way sometimes.
And then tactile deficits is like, my left side was paralyzed, so it's more sensitive now. And I have to like test my shower water stuff, like I have to make sure with my right hand, because otherwise I might scold myself, or it might be too cold, or you know, like, so it's,
Okay, I'm gonna do this one.
okay.
Cognitive and communication problems. The part of Veronica's brain that was injured is her frontal lobe, and that's where our executive functions are. And that's where the mental processes enable us to plan, focus attention, remember instructions, and juggle multiple tasks at a time. Veronica used to have a worse time focusing her attention than she does now. It's very much treated like ADHD behavior. Have you guys heard of that? I thought a lot of you would have heard of that. She just flits like you can't keep your attention on one thing at a time, and that happened, and she has a trouble planning. She can't take an appointment. If she's on the phone, I have to make appointments. It doesn't matter what I have written down on the date, as long as there's room for her to write on there, she will take the appointment that day. It doesn't matter what else is scheduled. So I take care of that. And remembering instructions, Veronica has tried to work several times, but she can often do what's asked of her very well, but then she'll stand there and wait to be told what to do next because she can't remember the steps. Like at home, she might do the dishes, but I'll ask her to clean the kitchen. It's too broad of,
Like I'll
Of
forget to like
directions.
wipe the counters, or you know, like,
or put stuff away or stuff like that. So I have to be very specific. Our memory, of course, is involved. It's very poor. Attention, I told you. Concentration is a lot like the attention one. You can't concentrate. Information processing, I have a big problem with that. I'm doing really good today, but a lot of times when somebody speaks and they speak quickly, I'll hear the first word or two and the rest just sounds like blah, 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 blah. Cause I can't, it doesn't register in my brain. And a lot of times I'll ask my husband to repeat himself, and it doesn't help that I have hearing aids, so he knows I can't hear him sometimes, but I'll ask him to repeat himself because he speaks quickly and I can't keep up with his sentences. Sequencing, that's Veronica, doesn't
that's
know.
like, time, or, you know,
Yeah,
like
knowing your
like
day, your week,
the year, yeah.
when
So.
things happen. Problem solving.
My glasses, yes, cause I never wore them before, and before, like when I first got them, I had a pair and I had hairspray on them, and so I was like, okay, well, they'll come off if I use the soft side of a file.
A
And
nail
so
file, she took a nail file to her glasses
So-
because she, in her mind,
I thought that
she
would
thought
help,
that would help.
and so I did it and it scratched them all up.
Word retrieval. A lot of times I'll speak a sentence and I can't remember the rest. And I describe everything I'm talking about, and luckily my family knows me really well. I can tell my husband just something simple. Remember that show last week with that blonde lady? And he'll say blah blah blah, and he'll get it. They know me really well. But yes, I have a hard time getting my words sometimes. Expressive language is where you say your words in the wrong order. Expressive language. Organization. Veronica is not very organized now that she
No,
has a.
that's the one big problem.
Oh, expressive language or, okay. Well, she has trouble with organization
Yeah.
too. Sorry, I made a mistake. Wait,
No,
Am I on the
go to
right
next,
page?
go to the next one. You were finished with this one.
you did.
Emotional
Oh,
and
that's
social problems is irritability, impulsivity, disinhibition.
disinhibition.
Oh, disinhibition.
is Veronica. She's so funny because she'll tell me if she's going somewhere, I try and prepare her. Don't do this or please do that. And she yells at me like, I won't ever do that. I'm better than that now. Well, she went to get a tattoo and she was so angry with me because I went with her because I thought she was gonna do something that was inappropriate with disinhibition. She lifts her shirt every time she gets a tattoo or goes.
It was on
a
my
lot of
back,
places.
and so I didn't need to wear a shirt when he was doing it, you know, and
So she shows her body a lot.
now I'm becoming very proud of it, so I'm like, everybody should see it.
And it's not a good thing. Perseveration is where you continue to ask the same question long after answered. You just like say the same thing over and over and over. That's called perseveration. Emotional lability we told you about. Insensitive to social cues. Have you ever talked to somebody and like the bell's gonna ring and you're trying to walk away and they keep walking toward you? That's where you don't understand social cues. Their social cues walking away. Low frustration tolerance. That's when we go from white to red. And anxiety. A lot of people with brain injuries get anxiety. And also, they have withdrawal because they know that they're awkward. They realize that what they do is socially inappropriate, like Veronica talking about sex all the time in high school. We lost all our friends for 10 years after our injuries because we became different. Like we were telling you, nothing heals the same.
And then we have people who are like, well, then they were never really your friends. It's like, no, they were, but you know, like I changed and they didn't know how to.
People are afraid of others that are different.
Yeah.
We have a tendency to walk away from other people when they're different than us. Egocentricity. Veronica has a little bit of this, but it's not on purpose.
Everything, wait, that's the next one.
No, it's right here.
Oh, that's like everything is about me, and I don't think about other people's emotions or feelings or.
She
it's
likes the
same thing,
attention. She
yeah.
likes all the attention.
But like
be
I'm
on her.
not.
She doesn't do it on purpose.
Yeah, like
She's
I don't like to
totally
say
not.
I'm an attention.
Seeker?
Yes, that's a
Yes,
great word.
yes,
That's a great
but
word. But she
it happens.
is, but not on purpose. Denial of deficit. And lack of insight.
you did that for years.
I did that. It's called anosognosia. For the first few years, said that Veronica was in a car accident, so I never told people that I was. And it wasn't on purpose. It was so weird because I went back, I started volunteering so I could prove to myself that I was still worthy. I could do work, I was useful, but at the same time, I denied that I had any deficits. I always said it was Veronica, and sometimes I still make that mistake. Depression, it's hard not to be depressed when you have a brain injury. It can happen from hormones, it can happen from losing your friends, or knowing that people with brain injuries are very tired. It's hard to be social, and if you're tired, so exhausted, it's not like the kind of tired you can resolve with a nap.
Yeah,
It's just complete exhaustion through your whole body, and that's how it is with a brain injury, and it gets depressing because you miss out on social events and you're just so different. And you also get peer conflict because you become so inappropriate and your friends don't know how to deal with it, so they might tell you about it and you might argue with them, and so it causes conflict. Sexuality concerns. You can actually lose your sex drive depending on where your head is injured, or you can get hypersexuality like Veronica just thinks about it a lot. High risk behavior is often had when you're hypersexual. Always use a condom. You guys have heard that a million times.
Yes,
Behavioral problems. Deficits may lead to challenging behaviors, non-compliance,
What does that
aggression.
mean to non-compliance?
That isn't that like I'm still like a 15-year-old, and so like if dad.
Those rules don't
Yes.
apply to me.
Okay, so yeah,
I'm
I
special.
yes, like I can do whatever I want because I'm different. I'm special.
Aggression, confrontational behavior. She used to stamp her foot and say, I'm 29 years old and you can't tell me what to do. Even though we have guardianship and we help her make big decisions. But we also give her privacy. She's 30 years old. If she
So
wants
the
to,
whole basement is my area.
if she wants privacy with a man, we give that to her, even though it's confusing because she's often 15 in her head, but she's 30. She just turned 31 yesterday. We have to give her
Oh,
privacy
thank
and
you.
respect her.
Thank you.
We try and show her as much respect as we possibly can.
Lack of initiative. I had that for years. Like I went to nail school. Yeah, adenamia. I went to nail school. But I never took boards. Well, because I couldn't remember steps. But like at home, I was supposed to be practicing and stuff. I never had like gumption to do anything, and I just started going back to the gym about 6 months
is
ago.
lack of motivation and initiation.
Right, and I was gonna say why I'm going back to the gym was like I never felt the want or the need to do that, and now I'm like, this is what I'm here for, you know, like.
But still, Veronica
Yeah.
will say, I wanna be on, you know, that show Naked and Afraid or Survivor. Veronica would say, I wanna do that, I really wanna do that, and she would have that interest for a day, and
Yeah.
she'd say,
And then
Nah,
the
I don't wanna
next
do
day
that.
I'd be like, you know what, that seems really hard. I don't think so.
and then she loves clothes. She's on Social Security, that's the only way she gets money, and she loves clothes, but she's not attached to anything. It's like a revolving door. She buys something, she gets rid of it. She buys something, she gets rid of it.
That's a great way to think about it. A revolving door. I'm the
Yeah.
prettiest revolving door you ever saw.
She doesn't, oh my gosh, I told you that for a reason.
Like mom
you
helps
that for
me
a
clean
reason.
out my closet like every 6 months because otherwise like I'll have too much or you know like Social Security. Buying things.
Veronica will say, I really, really, really want this. She wanted a bike, a tricycle, because she can't ride a regular bike because she's very unbalanced. She would take the handlebars and go like this instead of like this. So we bought her a 3-wheeler. She rode that thing for a week. She had these huge plans. I'm gonna be able to ride my bike to like
Walmart,
the grocery
to, you know,
store.
yeah.
I'm gonna get to go to the dollar store by myself. I can go to Panda Express by myself. That lasted 1 week. We put all this money into things for her, and she never uses
yeah.
them again.
But
It's
then
hard to buy her big
But then
gifts.
it's really hard to like think of like doing things like I'm gonna ride my bike to Panda Express, which is like 5 miles from our house, but then or to I don't know, and then but like mom will be like, that's really unsafe. I don't want you
She
to
had
do
to cross
that.
Academy. Everybody knows how busy Academy is, so
So.
it's a worry. But
And we already talked about withdrawal, or no, well this withdrawal is like I would withdraw from my friends and stuff because I know I'm different. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah.
let me see. I have a couple other things before we finish up.
What?
Have you ever
Did you
heard?
say I'm awesome? Thanks, doll.
Have you ever heard of car surfing?
Yeah.
Please never, never do that. We had a neighbor that was doing that and she fell off the truck and she ended up with a severe traumatic brain injury, and Veronica's super regretful now because she stopped being her friend because she was
You know, like we had a group of like neighborhood friends, and we would like every night or whatever, like we'd get together and like walk around the neighborhood, play basketball, whatever, you
but
know.
then she was walking really slow.
Yeah, and so I
she
was like, and
talking really slow.
my thought process before the accident, I was like, everybody has to be like on my level. Like I was popular and I was athletic, I was a jock, I was always playing sports, and
Has anybody seen Mean Girl?
yeah, Mean Girls. I was Regina George.
She was awful. I never knew
And-
that at home.
But
She
yeah,
was so
then,
respectful.
but I went to church
She was
and
horrible in school.
and then
never
like
knew
I would
that.
come home and mom would be napping or whatever, and I'd like lay on her
And go like
and-
this, like we were
and
just
tell her
really
about my day,
close.
like.
We were
So
really
that
close.
has never changed though, and mom and I are attached by the umbilical cord again.
She has half my brain. I have half hers. We
So,
finish
yeah.
each other's sentences. It's wonderful. Okay.
Is there any questions?
Wait 1 second.
Cause we explained
Please?
pretty well, right?
Wear helmets. It's not cool to wear helmets on a skateboard or a bicycle, but your brain is like an egg. When you hit it on the, you drop an egg on the ground, what happens to it?
And
That's
never
your
be like,
head.
well, knock on wood, it's like,
Oh, Veronica has something called pseudo-bulbar effect. Have you ever heard of, like, they make fun of it on TV sometimes, like somebody laughing at a funeral or crying when they're happy. Veronica does that. She's on medicine for it. One day I was having the hardest time at the post office, and I was getting so upset, and she's standing behind me laughing. I was like, what are you doing?
Like, I
Her
knew
medicine wasn't working.
yeah, like I knew I shouldn't be.
We lost all our friends for
Well,
10 years. And
Mom,
we used
go
to,
to the picture.
well, I will. We used to sit on the couch and pray together that we would get new friends.
And now
and
we have a
eventually-
bunch.
Eventually, there's this family that lives around the block from us. We are good friends. We're all best friends with the wife, the husband, the kids, and they understand. They love us just the way we are, and we're quirky, but they still love us. So we did get friends again. Another thing is compassion. If not everybody can afford the special shoes or clothes, or they're not in a popular crowd. You never know if maybe their awkward behaviors are because they have a brain injury and they can't help it.
Or their parents do, or,
Right, if their
And
parents
then
do.
I was gonna tell you
I'm
that,
not done.
well, I was
You're
gonna.
so anxious.
I
Wait a
am.
minute. Wait a minute.
Alright.
If you ever see somebody that's like that, sitting by themselves, they might actually have a parent that has a brain injury, and that's why they're not dressed, the way the
To the
popular.
nines, or,
Because all you get when you have a brain injury and you can't work is Social Security, and it's very little bit of money. And maybe they can't afford all the things that your family can afford. So please don't be judgmental. I really highly am asking for compassion for people.
Okay.
Okay,
What I was,
finally,
no,
Molly.
gosh, what I was gonna say is, on mom's website, she writes a weekly vlog about our life, and so you can like stay up to date about all my funny charades and stuff,
Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's
Yeah.
personal, sometimes it's even embarrassing, but I write it so that people with families do not have, I'll tell you about that in a second, do not have, they don't feel alone, because this experience is very, very lonely.
Like, mom is on a ton of support groups and stuff, and I'm not, cause I don't live there anymore, but like,
Live there as in Veronica doesn't like to think about it every day,
like,
but my goal is to help people.
yeah, like, every person on there is like, but how did you how do you become so well off, or not well off,
Positive.
but yeah,
I've discerned, okay, first of all, this is Veronica.
walking out on my 16th birthday.
And all the people from the ICU and the rehab floor lined the halls and clapped as she walked out on her birthday. They brought her a birthday cake. This man played a little ukulele for
Mhm.
her. They loved her.
Yeah.
They loved her. She was there for over 3 months, so they had time to.
Yes.
I wrote a book, and it's called The Miracle a Day, One Day at a Time, Hope After Traumatic Brain Injury. And I'm gonna pass out, bookmarks. If you're ever interested in knowing more of our story, there's a lot more details. I kept a journal while I was
And you
in the
can buy it
hospital.
like anywhere online that books are sold, like Walmart.com or, you know, like places like that.
And my website is on the back of it. Did you get one?
Yes.
Got one? Okay. Everybody has. Oh, did you get one?
Yes.
Okay. If anybody ever has any questions and